You and I are living in the quantum age. We're hearing more and more in 2012 that you are me and I am you, that we're living in a friendly universe, and that life is always happening for us, not to us. And yet, when the tough stuff happens, it's really hard sometimes to feel that life is happening for us. Many years ago, in the midst of our worst nightmare, when my husband was beginning a process of dementia, it was our worst nightmare. It was very difficult for me to look at my husband and in any way say to myself or to him, you are me and I am you. Because the more he was losing his mind, the more I was feeling afraid for him, afraid for myself. I was feeling separate, I was feeling angry, I was feeling terrified, actually. And the whole idea of oneness, I was really having a hard time with that. And as he got sicker and sicker and was locked in his bed and had 24/7 care and was totally out of his mind and you rarely knew who I was, I found myself wanting to run away. Get me out of here. I couldn't stand it. I didn't want to look at him. I didn't want to face it. Until one day, I literally collapsed. I collapsed in many ways. Physically, I was not doing too well, and emotionally, I was caving in, and spiritually, I was vacant. I was bankrupt. And in that collapse, it's as if I just surrendered. Okay, I yelled out to the universe, God, help me, please. Help me understand. Help me get what this is for us, for me. I don't know. And it's almost as if I had sent out a message somehow to the universe, and I started to be put in touch with teachers and guides and receive messages. And I joined a spiritual training program in which I learned a process called Kything. I suppose it's been around a long time. It was only named Kything back in the 70s by a novelist and was written about in the late 80s by two people who really created a Kything system. Kything sounds like tithing, doesn't it? Kything it's an art of spiritual presence, actually. It's a form of spirit-to-spirit communication or communion with another. And in that training, I learned with my fellow participants in the training how to communicate, how to commune with my fellow classmates with this Kything process. And after a while, it occurred to me, maybe I could use this as a way to connect with my husband. And so I went to his room, and one day I decided to stay and not run away. And I decided to get quiet, which wasn't easy. And I closed my eyes. And the Kything process is very simple. Just close your eyes, get quiet. Of course, when your mind's going crazy, it's hard to get quiet. But I made a point to get quiet and to tune in inside and just recite a simple statement, to tune in to my husband, who was asleep at the time in the bed right across from me. I just connected with the simple, loving statement, I love you, I miss you, I miss hearing your voice. And I just stayed quiet. I decided to make this my meditation. And after about 10 minutes, I had my eyes closed and I heard, what took you so long? I've been waiting for you to find a way to hear my voice. So I looked around. I looked at Aaron. He was still asleep. Was I imagining things? Does that make it any less real? So I decided to go back, tune in again. Maybe he had something more to say to me. So I said, I'm listening. Do you have any more messages for me? And he said, yes, I do. I'm not my mind. I'm not my body. I'm not my brain. When you look at me, I am not what you see. And as you listen to my voice here, this is me. I said, really? Do you have anything more to say to me? He said, yes, I do. Keep listening. Stay in that quiet place. Keep listening to yourself and keep listening to me. And you will begin to really understand and know that what I am about here still in my body and what you are about still in your life is about something very big. And what you're going to begin to experience is that life is magic. And what we thought it was about was a little tiny piece of what it's about. And what I thought was true or untrue at one time when I was myself just in my mind is way bigger. So hang on, it's going to be a really wonderful ride. So we continued to have these communions. He continued to speak to me, and I continued to listen. After a short period of time, Aaron started to become actually more alert. He would wake up and know who I was more often. He actually was asking for more food to eat. He was becoming more specific with the nurses about what he wanted to eat. He was becoming a real nudnik, actually. Not that he wasn't before, but this was different. And he started to crack jokes again. And he cracked us all up with his wonderful sense of humor. One day I was in my living room doing some work, and he was making a lot of noise in the bedroom, and I came in and I said, "What's all the noise?" He said, "What else can I do?" That was funny. He had a sense of humor about what was so. So, another message he gave me was that if he had not had dementia, had he not gone out of his mind, I would never be asking the questions that led me to where I was. It's true. It's as if the big squeeze in life had been putting on the clamps for me, brought me to collapse, so that I asked the question, what? What is it? Which led me to where I am today, which led me to the things that I teach about, speak about, write about, and that is that life is magic. And it's about much more than we think it is. And if we allow ourselves to be fully human on all burners, we have a wonderful surprise in store for us, because we're just beginning to get what life is all about in 2012. As we're in the midst of huge global evolution of consciousness, you can't even begin to imagine, I can't begin to imagine where we're going as a human species. And my dear husband, who often imagined living for 1,000 years, who knows, he might have found a way to do that, but not the way we think. So how we think matters. How we use our energies matter. How we approach our days and nights matter. So I just want to end with a little story. Shortly before my husband died, He woke up on a Saturday morning, fully alert. This is after we'd been kything for a long time. He was really pretty much with it. Except this morning, he thought he was in synagogue, but he was in our room. And he started to give one of his 7-minute sermons, and I could hear that coming. And towards the end of the sermon, he said, and as we're concluding our Shabbat service together, I'm going to ask the cantor to bring the children up to the front, and we're going to sing some songs. Right, cantor? And he looked at me. Lie, 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 lie. So I took his hands, and the nurse and I took hands, and we swayed back and forth with Aaron as we danced. And then, as we finished the song, he looked up at both of us and he said, "This is my best Shabbat. Now let's have cake." And after we had cake, he looked at me, opened his arms with a big smile, and he said, "How about a kiss?" Life is magic.